I feel the old model really centers around really the gifts and abilities of one person, distributed through those that want to do and multiply that person's vision. In the Circuit Riders, it's a lot different. What we promote is, what is God saying to you? Let's get behind it. Let's make room for it. Let's get wings for it. Let's build a team around it. And then as it explodes, we let it run.
Welcome to the Kindling Fire. My name is Troy Mangum. Today's show is going to be a little different. You know, I want to honor a fallen saint, a man who has really followed after God, a guy named Brian Brennt. I actually had an opportunity to have a conversation with him and his son Nick in July of this year, and he ended up passing away in November of this year. And the time of our conversation, there was really no notion of that happening this year. Actually, he had been on the show one other time, and we had an amazing conversation about Keith Green and Circuit Riders and many of the things he was doing. And I never hit the record button. And so we never aired that show, and that was years ago. Just wanted to talk with him about his heart for leading this movement. Like, how has he been such an empowering leader and just giving away everything? So I ended up contacting him, asked him to come on the show, and very much in Brian Brent's fashion, he brought his son. I watched the funeral in November, and one of the things I want to just call you to action right now, and before we begin to the show, is to go to brianbrent.com, and on there you can be a part of supporting his widow, which is Christy Brent. And they have 4 children, I believe, and they're just an amazing, amazing family who loves God. And you can see more of his life on brianbrent.com.
Today on the Kindling Fire, I have the exciting privilege to have Brian Brennt and his son Nick on the show. Guys, thanks for coming on.
Oh, we're so excited to be here. Come on.
Let's go.
So you guys, if you know anything about Circuit Riders, if you don't, you need to. So Circuit Riders is an amazing movement out of Southern California that is affecting college campuses all around the nation.
So the Circuit Riders comes out of this moment with this great woman named Amy Ward. And she has this dream in the middle of the night, Nick, you remember this?
Yeah,
and she sees a colonial dressed angel, and it's mind-blowing. Like, what in the world is this about? And she says when she woke up, she heard the line, "It's time to release the Circuit Riders again."
Yeah.
And we were crisscrossing America with fire in our eyes, bringing reformation unto revival.
Yeah.
And that's what started it.
Yes, this woman has this encounter at the time. We're all living in youth with a mission in Kona, Hawaii.
Yeah.
And the kind of DNA of YWAM is to do training schools. So we thought, all right, let's do the word and do a training school, and we'll call it the School of Circuit Riders. Well, fast forwarding a very long story, with really bad marketing, with everything you can imagine not going well, we gathered 300 young people, though, which was a historic number. And the testimonies of why people were coming were ridiculous. Like, I was in my quiet time and God told me I'm a circuit rider. I had no idea what it was. I Googled it and I found it.
Oh, that's
Probably my favorite one is a guy, God visits him and tells him, "You're called to be a circuit rider." He hears about the school, go to, he goes, "No, I'm working for a church. I'm comfortable in my job." And he says no to the Lord. And the next day the pastor comes in and lets him go. And he hears the Lord say, "I'm calling you to be a circuit rider."
that's a good story.
I mean, it's so amazing. So
Yeah.
we all get there, we do this training school, and God shifts our focus from the nations and grips our heart for America. And we end up, long story short, a small team of us end up moving to Southern California, saying, you know what, we believe the harvest is ripe. We want to see a move of evangelism, a wave of missions mobilization. And kind of our first open door was the University of Southern California. We did an evangelistic gathering there. It exploded, and really just through grassroots student connection, this college movement began while we kept doing these training schools around America. And so now today we have about almost 200 full-time staff here.
True. Yep.
And we're doing stuff on a few hundred universities across America. And it's just crazy. There's too much to talk about, but the story is really a God thing, has nothing to do with like a strategy we made up. None of this was on a vision.
100%. Yeah.
This
So,
line, and God has just done one miracle after another.
True.
so let's talk about this for a minute. So Brian, you've got a history of doing college ministry or some time up in Washington, I believe, before
Yes.
the circuit rider thing kind of came to be. And here's the specifics that I want to talk about is a little bit of your viewpoint of sort of old and new leadership models that you've seen that God is like breathing on now, and kind of contrasting to maybe what God was doing in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You know, this is so simple in my mind because I watch it every day. It's kind of when the old model of leader is, they've got it. They communicate in different ways. They could be the apostle, they could be the head elder, the head, it's always the head of something, head of the organization. And really what I see in the modern world is it deactivates all the brilliance and the innovation, and it doesn't totally deactivate you. You're still on the team, but that part of you that says, if I don't come through, if I don't step out in faith, nothing's going to happen. And so I feel the old model really centers around really the gifts and abilities of one person, distributed through those that want to do and multiply that person's vision. In the circuit riders, it's a lot different because each student, each staff, what we promote is, what is God saying to you? And I know it's so simple, but let's get behind it. Let's make room for it. Let's get wings for it. Let's build a team around it. And then as it explodes, we let it run. I mean, there's all kinds of accidents that happen, different, it didn't turn out as good, but we don't pull back into some sort of, reflection or deep time of church kind of discipline. We're like, guys, come on, man. Let's figure this out again. Let's get it again. And really what's happened through that model is empowerment. Yeah. Because right now for Nick, you're getting ready to think about next year, what are you going to do across colleges?
Right.
I'm not thinking about that at all, in truth. I'll be honest. I am not spending any time in my evenings thinking about what we're going to do on colleges next year, because Nick and all of his buddies are going to be meeting and doing that and figuring that out. Now, I can't wait to hear what they're going to say. And if it doesn't involve Bible verses, if it doesn't involve, Christian ethics, I'm going to be definitely bringing those to the table. But Nick then has probably, what do you think, 60, 70 other Nicks.
Right.
And some of them are headed to Nairobi. Some of them are headed to Cairo. Some of them are headed to the East Coast. So it just begins to multiply a real flat line of innovation, creativity, and empowerment. Want to add that, Nick?
Yeah, I think that one man model, and it can be a couple people or one man. It's kind of like the only ownership I can have in that model as a young person is just owning their vision and being support and grow what it is. But in that model, I really am not. I can't really have vision. I can't really build. I have to ask permission for everything, and the world's changing so quickly that really, and then you're always kind of limited to that person's creativity, that person's gift, and that person's charisma and ability and knowledge and all those different things. Whereas kind of my dad's philosophy that he's put is as he's more taken the role as a coach. So instead of like the leader being the lead player, almost the leader becomes the coach and creates many players doing many visions, building teams around them. And so we've kind of developed very much more like almost Circuit Riders is kind of like a business incubator in some ways, to use secular language for a moment. I'd say every year there's at least 3 to 5 new ideas that my dad will go, that's right, help build the leadership team, help coach the vision, and then actually give them real power and real empowerment to move it out. And I think it's his model that is the reason why we spread everywhere. I think that most people from that other system, in fact, they're always uncomfortable with how much risk and empowerment my dad operates in every single day. Crazy.
So I heard Lauren Cunningham say in Kona, he said you can either build leaders or protect your reputation.
Wow.
But you can't do both,
Really?
right? And he felt like the Lord kind of confronted him and some missteps that were made in YWAM. And the Lord was like, do you want to build leaders or do you want to protect your reputation and in doing it right or whatever? And he was like, Lord, I want to build leaders. And, and that's, so, I know we have a mutual affection for Lauren Kahneman. I think he's amazing. And he's had so much fruit. I think the thing I want to talk about now is that that sort of like, okay, awesome. Does everything go perfectly? I doubt it, but I'm going to ask, like, what do you do when the wheels fall off, right? Or people morally get out of whack, or just things go kind of sideways. Like what's you guys been experiencing, kind of like how does that look?
I think the big thing we emphasize is one little simple thing is, guys, we might be good at ministry, we might not be good at ministry. Things are going to blow up. Or number two, there's going to be moments along the way where we're going to act in real immaturity. We're always pull over the car. We're going to work on our relationship with Jesus and our friendships with each other. And that will always prioritize ministry success or some sort of ministry breakthrough. So we set an expectation that there's going to be mistakes. Guys are going to fall off the wagon, but we're going to be waiting for them when they fall off the wagon. We're not going to boot them out, but we're going to bring restoration and walk with them. And I think what that's done, Nick, is it's taken the performance out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've had the craziest things happen that are really no big deal. I remember sometimes, it could be a college trip, you'll tell me this guy is talking too much or humming in the car or driving his roommates insane. And it's just garden variety young people stuff. But if it gets into something deeper, we just have a view of like, we want to see you in the next 50 years running for Jesus. So forget the ministry. Let's run together for the next year. Let's get this right. You might not want to do ministry with us after that year. You might want to be a businessman. You might want to do something else, but let's keep ourselves close to Christ. And I think that's the grace side of it. So it deals with sin, Nick.
Yeah. I think my dad emphasizes it's like 3 layers, almost like culture, relationships, and the vision is the last one. And so very influenced by, my parents' convictions and people like Joy Dawson from, Why I Went, classic line, if you don't live a message, you live your message, you have no message. So my dad's emphasis of culture kind of becomes that guiding principle of like, well, whatever I'm doing, does this really fit our values? And this is our culture. And then 2 is that we're willing, and everyone knows it in our community, that we're willing to stop the car and stop having success if people are getting hurt or people aren't doing well, or if someone needs breakthrough. And then lastly, the vision comes last in terms of like the ministry success. And we don't really put a big pressure on like, you need to hit these markers or these goals, or we want to be here, or this is our growth marks. We actually never talk about that stuff. And by focusing on the culture of relationship, we've actually blown away our private expectations in the vision category, because the leaders are healthier longer and people are having fun doing what they're doing. And because they're having fun, they're working harder, they're putting more effort into it. And so I think it's that kind of system of focus that really, in all honesty, while we have had some blowups for sure in discipleship, we haven't had any like the train went off the tracks.
Yeah. So to me, it's like the way you guys have it structured. So, because I think what I've seen and probably felt is that when vision is in the front, even mission, like the mission, the call, the higher call is in front. Sometimes based on the results, if it's very results oriented, you can get that you get this hidden nature. It's sort of like, I want to look good, but I'm not good. I'm not good. Like, I want to look the part, I want to do the thing, but internally I'm actually struggling, which really means, quote, I'm failing. And nobody kind of knows it, because it would be like, well, you're corrupting the mission, or you're impacting the mission or whatever, or the vision. And where it sounds like you guys are like, no, like God cares about a person. And if that person, gets free, whole, healthy, then all the fruit, you get a lifetime of fruit out of that person's life. Whereas if you just want to be like, run and gun, 2 years really hard, left on the side of the road. Hey, good luck to you. I hope that you get help with that. Does that make sense?
That's actually real. Yeah, it happens all the time. Real.
Yeah. And so, man, that is so good. So I think that another type of question I want to talk about is like that culture when it hits against churches, because churches can have all kinds of cultures, right? They can have circuit rider kind of cultures. They can have top-down cultures. Like, how do you guys like honor and interact with the churches? I guess that would be my question.
We tried to get really good at it for about a month, and then we fired ourselves, and we came up with this simple thought process: is that our whole role towards the church is that of Barnabas. We're going to be sons of encouragement, daughters of encouragement, and instead of working on changing the church, working on always having some upgrade for the local church, being those guys, we were just truly going to come in and enjoy the local church, and err on over encouragement.
Yeah.
And we have made so many friends, and it just changes the dynamic because they're expecting the parachurch to kind of come in. We're evangelizing. This time people were led to Christ. What are you guys really doing? All of that. And then we just come in, and it's kind of a way we think about pastors as heroes and as pastors of those that have the hardest jobs on the earth in many ways. They're giving their very lives, their guts. They're just pouring out. Now we know there's a few bad apples in every industry, but by and large, that's what we find. And it's amazing the friendships in the thousands that have developed just through becoming, all we do is encourage.
Yeah. And that model, like, we actually see more people in a sense, see reform through that door of encouragement. And really that my dad's thing is the culture of the radical servant, of coming behind and serving pastors or serving a local movement on a college campus or whatever the different things are. And we've seen more, pastors go, man, I've just been so long since I've received encouragement and been around, young people that really honored the gift on my life and just thanked me 25 times. We saw them get more on fire just from just being encouraged than any coming in and going, when's the last time that your church evangelized?
Right.
And I think it's also, my dad does a good job of just going delineating gifts. Like, hey, circuit riders, we're called to be catalytic evangelists. If you were doing that on a Sunday morning, because my dad was a pastor for so many years, that just doesn't work that way. There's too many needs. There's too many dynamics. So it's that gift of honor, encouragement, and then also realizing there's different lanes too, and not putting our lane that everyone else needs to be in it, that we're running in ours. And then we need to honor others, because if we were doing his job, man, we might just be, the worst. Our heads exploded. Church is on fire. No one wants to come back. They like us for 3 weeks, then go, where's my old pastor? Get him back here as fast as we can. So we're real aware of our limitations.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about working in teams. It sounds like a lot of how you guys do everything is very team. Can you talk a little bit about that, kind of lessons learned, pieces that, just working in teams?
I think a big book that influenced was Tribal Leadership. Have you read that by chance?
No, I have not.
Remember, there's 4 stages of tribal leadership. The first, one of the stages was you're always operating with a chip on your shoulder, kind of that Oakland Raider in the old days, we're better than you, we're going to take you down. I love that team in the day. I think we all did as sports fans. And then,
that's level 3.
That's level 3.
Yeah.
You want to hit level 4?
Yes. And in level 4 is, we're skipping a few of them, but is level 3 is I'm great and you're not. Level 4 is we're great and you're not. And then level 5 is basically what they call innocent wonder. And so the goal set of the book is that you want to be a team that isn't with you want to be a team that's not competing with other organizations or people, but you want to have a big picture. So for example, they give a hospital as an example, they're competing against cancer. So we as a hospital are great and that disease is bad and we're warring against that.
Yep.
not like the neighboring hospital. We want to, you know, be better than them. And then that 5 is when you kind of lose your sense of like that you're in a competitive world or trying to have success, and you just get caught in the moment you get kind of caught in inspiration. So a lot of our team, we really emphasize collaboration, and we emphasize that if we're really going to impact these huge vision pieces, there's no way that we're going to do it by ourselves. And we boot that competition out with like, you know, we're trying to beat fill in the blank ministry, or we're trying to be the best college movement. We're just trying to hit at 95% or to 98% of a college campus is unsaved. That's our enemy, is that the odds are against us, and we need to see revival in this generation. So if we want to see that, we have to band together in uncommon collaboration to hit that and to win, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Hey, so this is a question for you, Brian. So how have you or others that are sort of an older generation created an approachable environment around you?
Yeah, you know, there's kind of 3 things I try to do and live. Is I really try to never take, this is so simple, but I just don't take myself that serious. And so it creates a culture of approachability. You know, if you see me, you think, oh, is Brian going to want to talk about the send? And I never talk about the send. I want to talk about you and what you're doing and what God's telling you. So it's one, is just not taking what I'm doing as the priority, but others makes approachability. 2, I try to do as much stuff as I can around food. I know that's so simple, but we have so many meals, so many snacks, so many parties, celebrations. So real attitude of celebration draws us together in terms of approachability. And then 3, I've always told the crew here, like, as soon as I know I've screwed up, I'm going to come straight to you guys, and I'm going to tell you. And so I invite a lot of input. And then when I realized, man, guys, this is a funny story, but when the send came out, the first couple months of the very beginning of the send, I had this thought. I go, man, this is the first time I'm ever going to be on a poster. This is cool. And then about a week later, 2 weeks later, I go, man, that's the very thing that I used to tell other people that wasn't important. But I actually think in my dark side that this is actually really cool. And it's so I went before this, I gathered the whole crew and I said, hey guys, there's no difference between me and these other guys. I wanted the exact same thing when it was given to me, and we all had a good laugh. I repented. I took myself off the poster from there on out. I said, don't trust me. Before you know it, I'm going to have a gold watch on and you know, a crazy Mercedes Benz. And, you know, of course that's not true, but we just had fun with it. And they see that I'm a normal sinner saved by grace. And that brings the approachability and fun. They would say, I think Nick would say, he'll say, man, why is that guy always so joyful?
Oh yeah. Yeah. My dad outcompetes everybody in joy. 100%.
You know what? Hey, that is an awesome thing to win at.
Always got joy, and it's true. And you know what? I've seen him do it so many times in front of so many young people and own so many things that even like I didn't think he needed to own, but he just wanted to do it. And it has built a culture of family and friendship here where people like really just trust my dad because they know that even if it's a small thing, he's going to come back and he's going to make it right with everybody.
So I want to show you something real quick. You see this?
Fatherhood face plants.
Oh, I love it.
I just released this book, and
okay.
Look, this book is about me screwing up, but it's like I'm not a great character in this book. God is so great in this book. Like God is the hero. I kind of like have here's my warts. Here's some stuff that I regret. You know, so I mean. I showed this title, like every guy that I've met, they're like dads, they're like, yes, I love that title.
I do. I love that title. That is cool. That thing's going to sell out.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times my dad will have a leader come and, you know, they'll want the powwow. They want the advice. Like, what's the secret? Like, or they'll have a problem. Don't follow me. They won't do what I'm saying. I'm trying to build. And they're just, you know, they use big words. They're insubordinate. They're this, they're rebellious, trying to drive out breakthrough. And my dad will look at them and go, most likely the problem is you. When's the last time that you apologized for something? Do you with him? And he does it with, somehow my dad's this thing where he gets you to laugh and he gets you to do it with joy, but he really leads that culture so well.
Man, that's so good.
On Amazon?
Yeah, man. Fatherhood Faceplants. I'm not promoting it, but I just thought, dude, man, I just released it, and I think you would.
We need more books like this, man.
Hey,
and
is it on your site? Because I want to post that on my site. I got so many dads that will want that book all around the country.
I'll send you something. But yeah, because because every dad knows, right? And I think I want to end with this, Nick, and you've kind of talked about it, but I mean, even though your dad you might be like, hey, Dad, you really don't have to share that. Like, but I mean, what has your response been when your dad has kind of, I guess, been vulnerable or been honest?
I mean, for me, I just honestly just gives more respect every single time. I mean, it just sets the bar. Honestly, I think truly, like, in the guys that have been here the longest, that they've been around my dad more. He has more time to pour into. I mean, just to be straight up, my dad's my hero, my best friend, and I think all the guys, we just have such a loyalty to my dad, because we see that, like, this is what we imagine, Jesus would live like as a leader. And everyone that's here, the lines that are said all the time is like, all right, are we all in? Then we'll do the vision. Like you feel like this is good, like, then we'll do the vision more. We're more relational. Like, if we're all in, all right, let's do it. Like, this is so scary, but if we're all in, let's go for it. And I think more than anything, it trickles down. So, I mean, just yesterday, I was leading our whole creative team, and we just, there was like 3 great areas of feedback where I'm like, oh man, there's nobody but to blame than me on that. Mm-hmm. And so then I go, well, if Dad's doing it, I got to own my stuff too. And it trickles down to the guy who's leading the video department. He just had a moment and he had to go, and guys, I'm sorry, I don't communicate very well. So it trickles down. Yeah. And it just creates and I think the last thing I'll say on this is my dad we have this culture of joyful repentance. And so it's not about, really like, guys, I've just failed, like sackcloth and ashes. It's almost become like just part of the deal. Like, guys, let's all take the laughs at my expense. What have I been doing? I'm so sorry. Everyone laughs, everyone moves forward, and we all become that much better friends.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, there's so many older men that need to hear that, because they've grown up in a culture where they're afraid. They're afraid of failing. They're afraid of not being Jesus. Go figure. I don't know why, you're like perfect. It's just like, guys, relax. Like, you don't have to be Jesus. We're going to be like Jesus, but you're not Jesus. You're not the Messiah. Like, you can just take a breath, and we're all in this together. So.
Wow. Come on.
So thank you so much, guys, for coming on.
Send us that. We love you, man.
Oh man, we're so stoked on what you guys are doing. It's such a joy to talk about this, because this is where everything's going, and it's just so important. This conversation is had everywhere. Yeah.
And guys, I really appreciate you guys' time. And I'll definitely send you some of my Facebook.
Let's go. Hey, Dad. All right. We'll see you.
See you guys. Bye.
All right.
See you guys.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. This is going to be the last show for 2021. I'm going to be taking a break for Christmas, spend some time with my family, and I will be back in 2022. All right, guys, be awesome.